Hello. Today I'm going to do a poem which is in the 10th standard book. A poem written by George Herbert, and the name of the poem is The Pulley. Before I start the poem, I would like to talk a little bit about the poet. So the poet George Herbert came from an aristocratic family in England, and he later on became an Anglican priest from the Church of England. He was born in 1593 and he lived up till 1633. He was a theologian, he was an orator, and he was a poet that wrote poems both in Latin and in Greek. Being a priest, George has set this poem, The Pulley, from the book of Genesis in the Bible, the story of creation. He's added his own flavor to make the story of creation interesting. What is a pulley? A pulley is a wheel that has a grooved rim through which either a chain or a rope can be passed. You will have seen a pulley if you have drawn water from a well, and you will notice that the mechanism is there is a weight on one side, the vessel that carries the water draws the water, and the rope which is used to pull the water down. Now, you will not find the word pulley or anything related to the pulley in the poem. But the poet has used the pulley as a metaphor where he explains how God has used this method of the pulley to draw his creation close to him. I will begin by reading the poem, and then I will do it stanza by stanza, and then the rhyme scheme and the figures of speech.
When God at first made man, having a glass of blessing standing by, let us, said he, pour on him all we can. Let the world's riches, which dispersed lie, contract into a span. So strength made its way, then beauty flowed, then wisdom, honor, pleasure. When almost all was out, God made a stay, perceiving that, alone of all his treasure, rest in the bottom lay. For if I should, said he, bestow this jewel also on my creature, he would adore my gifts instead of me, and rest in nature, not the God of nature, so both should losers be. Yet let him keep the rest, but keep them with repining restlessness. Let him be rich and weary, that at least, if goodness lead him not, yet weariness may toss him to my breast.
We will now do the explanation of the poem, stanza by stanza. When God at first made man, having a glass of blessing standing by, let us, said he, pour on him all we can. Let the world's riches which dispersed lie, contract into a span. And so what is happening in the first stanza is God is making man. He has just created man, and he is a very generous, loving, thoughtful God. And so he is thinking, how can I bless this creature which I have created? And at the side is a big glass of blessings. And he takes that glass and he pours it on the man he has created. And all the blessings go into the man, and he considers man to be his best creation, his richest creation. The second stanza.
So strength first made a way, then beauty flowed, then wisdom, honor, pleasure. When almost all was out, God made a stay, perceiving that alone of all his treasure, rest in the bottom lay.
So as he pours these blessings on man, first he gives him beauty, then he gives him wisdom. So he wants him to look nice, he wants him to think nice. Honor. He wants him to honor himself and honor others, respect himself and respect others. And he also wants man to enjoy himself, so pleasure. And as he poured from the glass, one of those blessings remained at the bottom of the glass. And what was that blessing? It was rest. The third stanza. For if I should, said he, bestow this jewel on my creature, he would adore my gifts instead of me and rest in nature, not the God of nature. So both should losers be. And as he was about to finish pouring and emptying out his glass, God stopped. And he thought, he said, if I give everything to man, man will have everything and he will adore the things that I have made and he will forget me. He will stop adoring me, the God of nature. And God was very interested in having a relationship with man. And he says in his last line, so both should losers be. He says, if I give man everything, not only will man lose, but even I will lose. I will lose a relationship with this creation that I have so beautifully made.
Yet let him keep the rest, but keep them with repining restlessness. Let him be rich and weary, that at least, if goodness lead him not, yet weariness may toss him to my breast.
And so the thought process going on in God's mind was this. Let me hold back rest. Let man not be one who's fully contented. Because if he's fully contented, he won't use all the gifts that I have given him. He'll become lazy. And so, even though he may be rich, let him be weary. Weary is tired. Now we don't associate rich and tired together. This seems a bit absurd. And that is why the figure of speech in this line is paradox. So what is paradox? Paradox is when you read something, at first it seems absurd, but when you sit back and think about it, there's a lot of sense in that sentence. So when we think of rich, we think of people who have servants and maids to do his bidding. And we cannot associate weariness with a rich person. But rich people can be weary because they are worried about their riches. They are worried about all the things they have been able to amass. And then God ends with this. If goodness lead him not, yet weariness may toss him to my breast. So he says, if his goodness doesn't bring him to me, if my goodness doesn't bring man to me, at least man's weariness will draw him to me. Because whenever we are hopeless, The only place we get hope from is when we turn to God. I mean, think about it. When it's time for our results, when it's our exam time, we turn to going to the church or going to the temple or going to the mosque to pray that your exams go well and that the results come out well. So God brings hope to us. We have in the last line, may toss him to my breast. Here we have a figure of speech called Scenic Decay. And Scenic Decay has 4 parts. A part for the whole, a whole for the part, an abstract for the concrete, and a concrete for the abstract. In this case, we are looking at a part for the whole, where the word breast is standing for God. He says, throw him to my breast. Why throw him to my breast? Because a loving mother holds a child close to the breast. In the same way, God holds his loving creature in his arms. And so the word breast, which is a part of the body, standing for God, the whole person. The rhyme scheme of the poem is A-B-A-B-A, where each stanza consists of 5 lines and there are 4 stanzas, so it's a 20-line poem. I do hope you enjoyed learning this poem with me as I enjoyed teaching it to you. If you did like it, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. This is Teacher Grandma, a teacher for 34 years, a grandmother of 2 pretty little girls, saying thank you.